7 secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. And that maybe you've even heard them say or watched them do, but didn't realize the significance. Thank you for considering us highly enough to recommend to friends. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being part of the growing movement away from dieting and other failed methods of weight loss. Thank you also for being willing to look at a quick and easy approach that is not only common sense, but which uses the most modern techniques and strategies available to actually create real changes. Changes that actually alter the way you naturally feel about food and exercise, so that you actually become the slim and healthy person you always wanted to be. There is no need to diet when you've created the natural preferences that the secrets inside this ebook describe. This important ebook is must-reading for anyone who has ever dieted and put that weight straight back on again. This book shows how life should be for you, too. It's true that obesity and overweight are serious problems that are creating enormous damage in every civilized country in the world. However, it's also true that a culture of dieting is likewise doing serious damage, even leading to the deaths of thousands of teenage girls every year. Please be part of the solution by passing this book on. You may distribute this ebook freely, even sell it or include it as part of a package if you are in a bona fide healthcare business, as long as it is kept completely intact and unchanged and delivered only in this PDF file. If you feel inspired by this book and would like to become a professional weight loss leader, please visit our website for details. Together may we create real and lasting change. Sincerely, Christine Sutherland, founder, Weight Choice. www.weightchoice.com. www.fastfoodbank.com. www.toplifesolutions.com. Copyright The LifeWorks Group Pty Limited, Weight Choice, Christine Sutherland. Get free help for permanent weight loss on www.toplifesolutions.com by joining as a free member today. 7 secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. About these secrets. The purpose of these secrets is not to just show how naturally slim and healthy people think and act, but also to expose the myths around overweight and obesity, to show once and for all that dieting is not only useless but dangerous, and to demonstrate that you can learn quick techniques that will switch off food cravings, stop emotional eating, and allow you to normalize your weight naturally. Secret number 1, people who are effortlessly slim and don't never diet. That's right, they don't diet. It wouldn't occur to them to diet. They think diets are stupid, they scoff at diets. Now, you might be thinking, of course they don't diet, they don't have a problem, dummy. But in fact if they did diet they certainly would have a problem. For a start they'd be at least 6 pounds heavier than they are right now. Because diets put on weight. That's right, diets put on weight. Health Department statistics show that overall the average increase in weight due to dieting is 6 pounds annually. So, if you never dieted, the chances are you'd weight a lot less than you do right now. Why do diets cause weight gain? The reason is that no one ever stays on a diet, thank goodness, because I'm yet to see one that has anything like the variety needed for healthy eating, and everyone puts the weight back on. This causes a yo-yo effect with weight going up and down, which slows down your metabolic rate and not only accumulates more fat, it makes you feel tired and crabby as well. This secret doesn't just apply to dieting, but to meal replacements, or pills, or any other thing that you might temporarily do in an effort to lose weight. If you're like most people, you've most likely dieted lots of times. When we ask our clients how many diets they've been on, they quite often tell us it's probably 20, 30, 40 or even more. When we ask how much money they've spent on dieting, we hear figures in the tens of thousands of dollars over a lifetime. If diets worked, people wouldn't need to keep doing them. If diets worked, all that money would be a good investment. But the problem is, as health studies consistently show, diets fail for almost 100% of people. Exercise programs fail even more spectacularly. It's now universally agreed that diets are a useless merry-go-round, and in fact if you haven't already seen our diet merry-go-round video, do visit our site www.toplifesolutions.com and check out the weight loss videos. I'm sure you'll recognize your own pattern very well. If diets were merely useless, and merely prevented people from seeking out real solutions to overweight, as health professionals we'd already be up in arms. But diets are not only useless, they're dangerous, and here's why. The serious health problems caused directly by dieting. I've just explained to you why dieting is such a massive waste of time, effort and money. Now I need to share with you the very serious health problems directly caused by dieting. This isn't because I enjoy nagging or being up on my soapbox. It's because so very few people actually do know the vast harm caused by dieting. Here are some of the most serious direct effects of dieting. 1. With weight loss dieting, what is often lost is not fat, but fluid and muscle mass, further compromising metabolic rate in our health. Fluid in particular can be stripped off very fast, which is exactly what a low-carb diet does. But of course it returns amazingly quickly as well. It's physically impossible for most people to eliminate more than 0.5 to 1 kilogram per week in actual fat. If you're losing more than that, you are probably lowering your metabolism through fluid or muscle loss. 2. Diets have been linked with eating disorders, particularly amongst children, and particularly amongst children of mothers who have dieted. Do you realize that in Australia thousands of girls die every year from eating disorders that started out as diets? This is a fact that gets little publicity amongst the general public, but the figures are there in black and white, and all health professionals know that eating disorders are the most fatal of all of the psychological disorders. 3. Weight loss dieting can cause health problems and can even lead to gallbladder disease if the decrease is too rapid. While I have the greatest respect for the medical profession, even today there are ignorant doctors who expose their patients to emergency surgery by prescribing ultra-low-calorie eating regimes. Some of these idiots even state that vitamin injections can make up for lost nutrition and too rapid weight loss. These guys don't deserve to practice. 4. The reason for many older women's difficulty in losing weight is not their age. They have literally stuffed up their metabolism through yo-yo dieting. Luckily that can be rectified. 5. Dieting has been strongly linked with lowered libido. Diets can wreck a great sex life and a great relationship. 6. Diets often don't provide correct nutrition, leading to problems with concentration and memory and also decreased well-being. Low-carb diets are notorious for creating or worsening depression. 7. Food deprivation causes food cravings. This means that every diet literally self-destructs from the cravings that it creates. So why diet? It doesn't work. Instead it causes problems. Effortlessly slim, toned people seem to understand this instinctively, and stay away from dieting like the plague. Take a look at the free video at www.toplifesolutions.com to see what I mean. Here's where you'll discover the truth about the biggest loser. 7 secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. Secret number 2, effortlessly slim, toned people actually don't like unhealthy food. Does this one shock you? It shouldn't really, because no one comes out of the womb attracted to stuff that is processed, overly fatty, or overly sweet. Those unnatural attractions actually have to be learned. Yes, human beings actually do need a certain amount of simple carbs, as are found in sugar and chocolate for example, and every culture, no matter how primitive, has its sweets. Low-carb diets are notorious for creating depression and other disorders, so we have to have a certain amount of high-carb food in order to maintain good physical and mental health. But it's not natural or normal to crave the stuff, or to have a lot of it. If you're looking for a real aha about cravings, here's an amazing story about one of our Weight Choice graduates who had suffered from an overliking for chocolate. We helped her to run a 5-minute technique called Kill Cravings. You'll find the precise instructions on www.toplifesolutions.com as a free member. As usually happens with this technique, her craving for chocolate disappeared immediately. I know that might sound amazing to you, but since that's what I fully expect to happen when we teach this technique, I would have been amazed if it didn't disappear. So it wasn't the speed of that immediate result that amazed me, I take that for granted. No, what amazed me was the first words out of her mouth. Oh my God, I stuffed myself sick with chocolate last night and I actually forgot how ill it made me feel. Quite literally, she had had amnesia about how absolutely awful an experience her chocolate gorging actually was. That was an aha for me, because I realized that, of course, it's often not possible to maintain a craving and yet maintain an accurate memory of how revolting you feel when you overdo it. So one of the mechanisms of a craving is partial amnesia. When you have a craving, you don't get to learn to avoid that food because your brain cuts off your access to the memory of feeling ill. People who are effortlessly slim and toned don't have that memory problem. Their memory works really well. It works to the extent that if they overdo a food, they'll have a natural aversion to it from then on. If they go for a big pig out, they'll stay away from doing that for a long time. Every time they think of that particular food, or think of eating too much, that sick or uncomfortable memory comes back and stops them in their tracks. And they're not consciously aware of it. It's automatic. Effortlessly slim, toned people taste their food before they eat it. Imagine this. A slim, toned person is spending a day at home and becomes aware that she is hungry. The tummy rumbles and she thinks must eat. So she goes into the kitchen and looks in the refrigerator. The first edible thing she sees causes her to go into a very fast, light trance as she rapidly, split seconds, imagines eating it, and how that feels in her stomach, and how that reacts with her body. Her stomach will give her a yes, no or maybe feeling. If it's a strong yes, she'll probably just take that one and that's the end of it. If it's a no or maybe, she'll look at the next thing and once again go through that process of imagining eating it, and the consequences of that, and her stomach will give her that dependable gut reaction. What if there's nothing that her stomach says yes to? Well, she might move on to the pantry and do the same thing there, but if there's nothing that her stomach says yes to, she might just decide to have nothing, and go back to what she was doing. She'll make up for it later by eating something that is worth it. More on the worth it concept later. Can you imagine feeling that way about food? To look at a chocolate, or bag of chips, or a huge bowl of pasta and to feel repelled if you've already eaten something like that recently. Can you imagine standing in front of your refrigerator or pantry mentally tasting the food and preferring to have nothing, than to have something that doesn't taste right? Can you imagine it being no big deal to walk away, thinking to yourself I'll have something better later, and for your mind to go immediately on to the next more interesting thing you want to do? This is a life where food thoughts come up only when you're hungry, or when you're planning the shopping, or where you read a magazine and see a recipe that you think it might be nice to have sometime. This is a life that is full of a lot more things than food. A life where food is still great, still highly enjoyable, but where other things instantly take priority if the food on offer doesn't meet your standards. This is freedom, and way choice can give it to you. 7 secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. Secret number 3, effortlessly slim, toned people believe they deserve only quality food. You know, when you feel quite good about yourself, meaning that despite knowing that you're about as flawed as every other human being, you nevertheless respect yourself and have a desire to treat yourself with the same consideration you treat others. It's almost impossible to actually pick up a rubbish piece of food and put in your mouth. This is the everyday experience of someone who is naturally slim and toned. So what gets in the way of your having this experience also? What gets in the way is threefold: cravings which can drive you to do things you'd rather not, emotions, such as eating because of boredom, or loneliness, and sometimes ignorance or a lack of deservedness around food, not actually knowing or realizing that a particular food is not fit for human consumption. This particular secret is about deservedness. Oftentimes I've begun to work with people who are overweight or even morbidly obese, and the issue of self-esteem or self-respect has reared its head right from the start, and this is tied in very strongly to a sense of shame. It can be quite a challenge to help my client to see that feeling ashamed of being overweight is about as illogical as feeling ashamed because he or she has chicken pox, or a cold. And even more challenging to help them believe they have the right to exist without shame or guilt. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I believe that big is beautiful or even that fat is okay. No way. Overweight is crippling every health system in the civilized world. But overweight is an accident or an illness that no one develops deliberately, and therefore should never be subject to guilt or shame. It is totally illogical to think that someone can cure their overweight by willpower and that they should be ashamed for not trying hard enough, for instance. This is as insane as saying someone can cure their influenza by willpower. In addition, guilt and shame are traumatic feelings that do a lot of damage, and can often lead to massive overeating in an attempt to self-comfort. Sadly, current government health initiatives, aimed at nagging people into more healthy lifestyles, and also dangerous shows like The Biggest Loser, have unleashed a tidal wave of guilt and shame that have led to not only more obesity, but also to a tidal wave of eating disorders amongst children, thousands of whom are dying of diseases like anorexia or bulimia. So the guilt and shame have got to go, and must be replaced by authentic feelings of self-respect, and a sense of deservedness. Every human being has the right to healthy food. Every human being has the right to healthy playtime. Every human being has the right to love. These are things that effortlessly slim, toned people recognize in every cell of their body. In the Weight Choice program we refer to guilt/shame as the big kahuna and provide incredibly fast and easy ways to kick it to the curb for good. 7 secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. Secret number 4, effortlessly slim, toned people have a lot more going on in their lives than food. These healthy folk have a lot more going on in their lives than food. Their lives are bigger, more full, more satisfying, and food is just a little part of it. Sometimes they're so engrossed in what they're doing that they just plain forget to eat. So part of any program to turn your lifestyle around in order to become effortlessly slim and toned, is to build your life into a life that is bigger, fuller, more satisfying, and so engrossing that it's a long way better than food. Can you imagine that? Let's look at some of the components that are the building blocks for such a life, which should be thought of as a normal life. Your social life. Even introverts need a sense of community. What are the communities that you've built around you and how nurturing or sustaining are they? Your family life. Some families can be minefields of dysfunction and are anything but nurturing or sustaining. It is not within the ambit of this book to deal with the complexities of family relationships, but certainly you should think about your relationship with each family member and how this might be improved. The book Intimate Partners, one of the free bonuses in the Weight Choice online weight loss program, is full of great strategies for building not only better relationships, but also safer and more nurturing households. It is not normal to feel threatened or controlled, especially in your own home, and it is not normal to go without private time for your own leisure and other activities. Your neighborhood. Is your neighborhood a safe place? Do people treat each other well and look out for each other? Do people take pride in their surroundings? It is not normal to live with the fear of threat or harm. It is not normal to live in communities where people don't speak to each other or don't even know one another. Interest groups. Each of us is a unique human being, and each of us holds deep in our hearts a love or appreciation for particular things. It might be a sport, collecting, a social or environmental issue, a certain type of music, film genre, or even spiritual pursuit. Those things form part of our self-identity and need social expression because of our very human need to be seen, understood, included and appreciated. People who are very overweight, or who have intense shame about their physical appearance, even if they are just slightly overweight, tend to withdraw and become isolated. Check whether this has happened to you, or perhaps has even been a feature of life, and make moves to identify and join a community or communities which nurture and sustain your deepest principles, values and interests. Despite the fact that solitude is also important, it is not normal to live an isolated life. Wider community/world. You may find that you have lost interest in the things that are happening around you. If so, make a point of re-engaging with the world, finding out what is going on, thinking about your opinions or attitudes to that, and discussing that with others. Expand your world. It is not normal to be ignorant of what is going on in the world. Working life. Whether you are working as a housewife/husband, or are holding down an outside job, every human being deserves a humane working environment. It is important that your work be fulfilling to you in at least some way, no matter how menial, or how complex. What is the purpose of the work that you're doing? What are the long-term consequences of your having provided your labor and your intellect in this way? Who benefits, and how? What are the positive things that will flow from your contribution? It is not normal to constantly work hours that are overwhelming to you, nor to tolerate unreasonable demands, rudeness or cruelty. It is not normal to work such long hours that there is no time left for essential human needs, such as social time and leisure activities. If your working life, at home or outside, is causing you stress, do seek professional help to make changes in a way that is safe and comfortable for you. Intellectual life. Our brains are like our muscles, and it's very much a case of use it or lose it. So one of our most important needs is for intellectual stimulation, and one of the best ways to do that is to constantly be learning new things. Some people do this by being interested in mathematics, or crossword puzzles, and others have an area of interest, or several, and simply keep reading or doing courses as part of their ongoing fascination. It is not normal to go about every day just like the last day, with no variety and no need to think, question, or grow. That's called stagnation and is not what our amazing brain was designed for. What changes can you begin to make today that will build a life that is far bigger and more fulfilling than food could ever be? How can you use the information contained in this ebook to join the ranks of those who are effortlessly slim and toned? Allow us to work with you as an individual to build that fantastic, balanced, fulfilling life. 7 secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. Secret number 5, effortlessly slim, toned people have got their stress sorted out. Stress is known to have a big impact on our metabolic rate, and our immune system. This means that if we're overstressed we tend to get sick more often, and we tend to feel burdened and tired. We are less active, more inclined to eat whatever is around instead of being conscious of what's going into our mouths, and what we do eat tends to get burned up a lot less efficiently, so we gain fat. This secret about handling stress really follows on from secret number 4. You see, healthy people often have the same stressful situations that others have, but they treat them differently. One thing they never do is to subject themselves to relentless, endless stress from being trapped in anything. They tend to be problem solvers, and to reach out for help when they need it. They're social creatures, and they fully realize that no man is an island and that it's normal and natural to ask for help when we need it. Another thing they never do is to deprive themselves of proper stress busters to balance out the normal stresses of day-to-day life. This has a lot to do with the life balance that you read about in secret number 4. So this is yet another reason to go back to secret number 4 and make sure you attend to that very thoroughly. If you have stress that you know is related to your circumstances, reach out to gain help to solve that. If you're a stressed, anxious person, then there are also some truly miraculous techniques that you can use to shut off those stressed feelings and get your clarity back, so that then you can think and solve problems and make better, healthier choices. Almost all of the techniques that we use in the Weight Choice weight loss program come from our strong therapy expertise, and they are powerful indeed. We've used these same techniques to rid people of depression, and even chronic pain, so they'll make mincemeat of your stress. 7 Secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. Secret number 6, effortlessly slim, toned people get quality sleep. Sleep is another thing that is absolutely essential to a humming metabolic rate, so people who are effortlessly slim and toned tend to be rather protective of their sleep time, to have a good evening routine, and to enjoy uninterrupted sleep from which they wake actually feeling refreshed and energized. If you're not going to bed early enough, having disturbed sleep from a partner who snores, or you're having too much stimulation before going to bed, then most likely your metabolism is suffering and you'll tend to be overweight. Now, how much sleep is the right amount? This is where it gets tricky because it truly is different for everyone and you need to experiment to find out what that is. Before we had electricity, people tended to be awake when it was light, and in bed when it was dark. It wasn't unusual for people to spend 15 hours or more in bed overnight, sleeping, dozing, waking, sleeping, dozing, etc. In contrast, not so long ago, it was fashionable to declare that one needed only a tiny amount of sleep, and the minimization of sleep time became something to brag about. It was supposed to be a mark of intelligence that someone needed very little sleep. What we now know about sleep makes that particular fashion look very stupid indeed. Adults typically need somewhere between 7 and 10 hours quality sleep each night in order to function optimally. A few people need more, but very few people do well on less. In order to make sleep work for you, have a regular time for bed, and ensure that the hour preceding that is spent quietly and peacefully, not rushing around doing housework, or watching or reading anything stimulating. And not eating, or drinking alcohol, tea or coffee. Make sure that your room is a comfortable temperature, and that there is good ventilation. Your mattress and pillow/s should be in good condition so they support you comfortably. If you have a partner who snores, then either they're going to get treatment for that, or they're going to have to sleep alone. Your sleep must come first. If your sleep is being disturbed by children, then do get help to normalize their sleep as well. Children should be sleeping around 12 hours each night, plenty of time for you to get your 7 to 10. In the case of babies who are still waking through the night, at least take turns on a nightly basis being the one who gets up, or if it's unavoidably you, ensure you sleep the next day when the baby sleeps. Don't tolerate sleep deprivation, and if you need your other children minded so you can get some sleep, or the housework goes to hell because sleep takes priority, that's perfectly sensible. It can be tricky to try to sort out sleep issues on your own, especially in relation to actually pinpointing the causes of sleep problems, and developing plans to deal with adults or children who are currently disturbing your sleep. That's why we have a special section on the Weight Choice program to help you get the sleep you need for good health and well-being. 7 Secrets that slim, toned people take for granted. Secret number 7, effortlessly slim, toned people are socially active, and usually play a sport regularly. It's called social engagement, and it's just one of a vital array of needs that we're programmed with from birth, and which must be met if we're to achieve physical and mental health. What does social engagement mean? It's the quality time we spend engaged with others, our family, friends, work colleagues, and wider community. We're talking, listening, responding, helping, being helped, supporting, being supported, celebrating or commiserating. We are definitely herd animals, and although we can do okay on our own, we're far better, mentally and physically, when we're getting good quality social engagement in our lives. That helps our metabolic rate to hum and actually burns fat. Do you ever get irritated or even angry when people go on about getting enough exercise? I know I do. Because since when has it been a chore to enjoy playtime? How cruel would it be to deny a child the right to playtime? Why do we think an adult body and brain doesn't require the same privilege? People who are effortlessly slim and toned tend to be active, not because someone told them they should, but because they enjoy it. They love the feeling of moving their bodies. So they'll tend to park a longer distance from the entrance to the shopping center, they'll tend to have to get out for a walk, and they tend to play sport. Even when they're really old, they hang on to their sport out of sheer pleasure. That's why you see so many golden oldies still playing rugby and still playing hockey, and tennis, and still swimming or surfing, or playing golf. Like the 90-year-old Japanese man who's still running around the rugby paddock with a great big smile on his face. In fact, he's the most feared man in the whole world of rugby because the rules say he can't be touched, so if he gets the ball, it's a try for sure. Most of them would tell you that you'd have to hit them over the head with a mallet to stop them from playing their chosen sport every chance they get. And you know what else? You won't generally find them slogging away in a gym on a treadmill or with weights unless they actually love those particular activities. No way would they choose something boring when there's a whole world of fun out there. The flip side of not having enough activity in your life is pretty dire. Did you know that it's safer to have unprotected sex with multiple strangers, and also be a smoker and an alcoholic, than it is to avoid exercise? Most people don't realize that more people die as a direct result of not being active enough, than die from the combined deaths smoking, drinking and unsafe sex. Every health department in the world keeps these figures, so by all means check for yourself if you don't believe this incredible statement. This is why losing weight merely by changing what you eat is not enough to keep you healthy, and explains why we put such a strong focus on getting back in touch with the child in you who loves to move, and who takes every opportunity to play. We would be charged with neglect if we prevented our children from having opportunity to play. What kind of role model are we if we don't take care of our own needs in that way? Do we want our children to also grow up deprived of playtime? Do we want to teach them to be unhealthy martyrs to their own children? No way. But remember that you mustn't force yourself to do boring physical activity, or activity that feels like punishment. This is definitely counterproductive to the whole program. At Weight Choice Online, we work with you to get your playtime back, to help you be physically active in a way that feels fantastic and exhilarates and energizes you, so that your quality of life is enhanced dramatically. Weight choice techniques can be used to go to work on your unconscious programming and choices, making change so effortless, natural and permanent. We attend not just to the basic programming, but also to the automatic failsafes which have in the past sabotaged you over time. With this approach, if you're trying, you are definitely doing it wrong. Willpower is not allowed. When you see just some of the issues that impact on body weight, you will begin to understand not only the complexity of the problem, but also why the results that we achieve at Weight Choice have been so easy and so outstanding. No wonder diets don't work. How could they when they don't even begin to attend to the real causes of overweight? How could they when the diet consultants have no real clue how unconscious programming works, and are totally ignorant of how quickly and easily you can change that programming to be exactly how you want it? Look out for more great information and help on www.toplifesolutions.com, because after the good news that overweight isn't your fault, I'm going to demonstrate how easy it is to change that programming. There'll even be a link to a live recording of a treatment session I did with a producer live on ABC Radio. Thank you for reading, and here's to your effortlessly becoming that slim, toned person you were meant to be. Christine Sutherland, founder, Weight Choice. P.S. Want more healthy tips? Make sure you subscribe as a free member of www.toplifesolutions.com. P.P.S. And even if you never want to hear from me again, please promise me, no more diets, no more food replacement, no more thoughts of obesity surgery. At least you'll stop gaining. P.P.S. In case you're wondering, the full Weight Choice program is just $5 a month, cancelable anytime. You can read more about it on www.weightchoice.com.au.